Missouri, 1989. A severed head, an armless torso, bloody hedge trimmers. A gruesome trail of evidence scattered around the small town of Hollister. The victim is 66-year-old Wilma Plaster. And according to a jury, this woman is her killer, Wilma's close friend, Shirley Joe Phillips. From day one, she claims she did not do it. Is she innocent? Could she be covering for someone close to her? And what does she know about her own mother's unsolved murder? Behind the walls of Chillicothe Correctional Center, Missouri, I'm going to try to find out. I'm Candace Delong. As an FBI agent, I worked on the front line for the world's most powerful law enforcement agency. I went undercover, I trailed terrorists, and I interviewed notorious killers. It's my job to understand the people who others cannot comprehend. Friday, October 6th, 1989. Human remains are found along a country road. The victim is identified as Wilma Plaster. Forensics show before she was dismembered, Wilma was shot in the head at close range. So who would want this 66-year-old widow dead? She seemed to live a good and decent life. Her late husband was a minister. Police question Wilma's friends, and one of them seems to be hiding something. Their person of interest is 53-year-old Shirley Joe Phillips. Police believe Shirley Joe had been stealing from Wilma by forging checks. Investigators find Shirley Joe's fingerprints on a trash bag containing the murder weapon. Prosecutors build a case to prove Shirley Joe murdered Wilma after she found out about the forgeries. Shirley Joe claims her innocence, but a jury believes the prosecution. They convict Shirley Joe of first-degree murder. She gets the death penalty, but it's later commuted to life.
Shirley, I'm Candace.
If Shirley Joe is innocent, how does she explain the evidence against her? And if she is innocent, does she know the killer? One theory brought up at trial is that her son may have also been involved. Shirley Joe has had 23 years to come up with some answers.
Shirley, your life didn't start out like this. Let's go way back when you were a little girl. Tell me what your life was like.
My mother was could be a very hard individual.
Hard?
Hard and disciplinary, because back then it would have been called child abuse as of today's standards.
There seems to be some hurt here that Shirley has carried through her life. But things improve in her early 20s with the arrival of her son, Glenn.
Were you married to his father?
His father and I had an understanding, I'll put it that way, okay?
Any problems with your son in growing up?
Probably not until he became quite a teenager, as we normally always have with teenagers, I suppose, you know.
Shirley and Glenn live in Springfield. Here in 1988, 53-year-old Shirley meets 66-year-old Wilma.
I met Wilma through another friend, and we were at one club one evening, and she introduced me to Wilma.
And you became friends?
Yes, we did. Very good friends.
The pair love going out together and listening to country music.
How often would you say you went out with Wilma?
Maybe a couple of times a week or three, yes.
At the heart of this crime, according to the prosecution, is money.
The prosecutors say that you killed Wilma and you did it to cover up the fact that you stole money from her. Is that true?
No, ma'am, that's not true.
That's not
I did not.
The prosecutors said you killed...
Time out.
Sure.
Why are you asking so much about what the prosecutor is saying? Why not about my attorney stated such and such and such for me? Because it sounds like you and I are you are one-sided. You are just sounding just like in court, like you've already found me guilty.
Already, Shirley Joe is objecting to my line of questioning. This is going to be interesting. When we return,
If you didn't kill Wilma, who do you think did?
I'm speaking with convicted murderer Shirley Joe Phillips. She was found guilty of killing 66-year-old widow Wilma Plaster. But for the last 23 years, Shirley Joe has claimed her innocence. I want to hear her story, but as I lay out the case against her, I hit a roadblock.
Time out. Sure. You are just sounding just like in court, like you've already found me guilty, regardless of all the
No, I want your
evidence to
side
come.
of the story. You tell me what your defense attorney said.
Okay.
I know some of the things that he said, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Ultimately, the jury believed the prosecution's case. Why do you think they didn't believe you?
They just didn't believe what was being presented, maybe by my attorneys, or I don't know what that would be.
Shirley Joe's defensiveness tells me one of two things. She may be hiding something, or she may be incapable of a reasoned discussion of her crime, even after all these years.
Did Wilma have a lot of money?
I have no idea. I really have no idea. I didn't know anything about her financial matters. That's certainly not something I discuss about mine.
Did you ever borrow money from Wilma?
Did I ever borrow money?
Yes.
There was money talked about it at one time because we were going to have a garage sale and she was wanting to buy a desk that I had.
A desk?
Yes. But other than that, no ma'am, I never borrowed money from her.
And how much did she pay for that?
She paid, if I remember right, like $350, I believe that was.
$350?
$3,050.
Actually, the police found a canceled check in her bank statement, and it was for $4,050.
$4,050, okay.
Shirley Joe's recall here is way, way off. I think she is lying. When she's not telling the truth, she has a precise and quick answer. But when I ask her something difficult, she claims not to remember.
Why did Wilma write you a check for $4,050?
To pay for some of the things that we were going to sell for the sale.
That's a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, it was.
What else besides the desk?
I don't really remember everything that was now. I really don't.
Wilma will never really enjoy the desk or any other garage sale bargain. Within a week, she is dead.
Let's talk about the last time you saw Wilma.
The last time I saw Wilma, we were supposed to have gone out and had dinner with a couple of friends, but it didn't materialize like that. So she and I just kind of went on our own.
In court, two eyewitnesses say they see Shirley Joe and Wilma drinking together at the Top Rail Lounge in Springfield, Missouri.
Walk me through that night. You were at the club. Then what happened?
While we were in the club, she met a guy, okay? And he was going to see her home. So I walked my car and I left her with him. That was the last time I saw Wilma.
What did you do after you parted ways?
I went home.
Club. You went home.
Yes, I did.
The prosecution story ends very differently. October 3rd, 1989, 10:30 p.m. The two women return from the club to Wilma's house in Shirley Joe's car. There, in the garage, Shirley Joe shoots her friend in the back of the head with a .38 caliber pistol. Next, Shirley Joe disposes of the body using garden shears to cut off Wilma's head and limbs.
Do you remember how you felt when you heard that your friend had been murdered?
Devastated, devastated. It's something that you totally unbelievable. You can't describe the feeling. It's just like, my God, what's happened? I mean, we're...
Did you kill Wilma Plaster?
No, ma'am, I did not kill Wilma Plaster. I did not.
It's one thing to shoot a victim. It's quite another to chop them up. In my experience, there's 3 reasons for it: mental illness, sexual gratification, or simply a convenient way to get rid of evidence. I doubt the first 2 apply to Shirley Joe. It takes a hardened character to dismember a body with garden shears. Is Shirley Joe that hard, or does it point to someone else?
It was a tape recording that someone had made stating the fact that they knew who had killed Wilma and named the person's name.
And who was that?
No, I will not mention that name.
Shirley Joe Phillips is convicted of shooting and dismembering her friend, Wilma Plaster, then scattering her body parts by the side of the road. Shirley Joe denies it all.
Why do you think someone would dismember an old woman after they killed her?
Bizarre. It's probably...
It is bizarre.
Perhaps they're on dope, or they're absolutely out of their mind, or I can't really visualize that. I just couldn't believe that something like that could happen, particularly to a friend.
Shirley Joe talks kindly of her friend, but I don't find her emotionally connected to Wilma. The years can dull feelings, but I find it unusual. The most damning piece of evidence connects Shirley Joe to the murder and the money.
After Wilma's murder, did you visit a friend named Nora?
Nora, yes, that's a friend of mine.
Nora's a friend of yours. Did you leave something under her porch when you visited her?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure of anything at that time.
The prosecution said that Nora, after you left, looked under her porch and she found a garbage bag. And she looked in it, and there were some bloody things in there, and she called the police and told them that you had left it under her porch.
Oh, that I left them? How did she see anything that I left? Nobody proved that I was the one who put anything any place. There has never been any proof of anyone seeing me put anything anywhere.
Okay. Let's talk about what's inside the bag.
I really don't want to know. I really don't want to go into that. That's just devastating.
The trash bag contains the murder weapon, a .38 caliber pistol, along with cleaning solvents, car mats, and checks from Wilma's bank account.
It turns out there was a lot of evidence in there that pointed to you.
A lot? No, ma'am, there was not a lot of evidence that pointed to me.
You see how this trash bag thing with the gun in it and some bloody floor mats and your fingerprints.
My fingerprints?
The prosecution says, the trial record says, that your fingerprints were on the outside of this bag and on the inside, and that the murder weapon was in there.
Well, they can say whatever they want.
This murder weapon opens up a whole can of worms at the trial. You see, it isn't just linked to Shirley Joe. It is also linked to her only son, Glenn. He was 32 years old at the time.
The gun that did it was found in this trash bag. And it was tested and found to be either your gun or your son's gun.
See, that's where all of this goes. Circumstantial only. I never had a gun.
Okay.
I did not own a gun.
Okay, then it
My
must have
son
been.
never had a gun. He did not own a gun.
He told the police he used that gun for target practice. And
Maybe he did, but he didn't own a gun that I'm ever aware of.
Shirley Joe has always defended her son and continues to do so to this day. Glenn was interviewed by police early in the investigation, but he passed a lie detector test and was ruled out. He's never been charged with Wilma's murder. The jury convicted Shirley Joe.
if you didn't kill Wilma, who do you think did?
I can't answer that.
You can't, or you don't want to?
I just can't answer it.
And in the 23 years since her murder, you've never had a thought about who did it?
Oh, yes, I've thought. I mean, yes, I've thought about it. I have.
But you don't want to say.
Is this a case of a mother protecting her son? Or is Shirley Joe a very good liar? It's not the only time she's been tied to a gruesome murder.
Your mother was murdered and dismembered. Do you see how that looked to the police?
Hollister, Missouri, 1989. 66-year-old Wilma Plaster is shot and dismembered. At first, investigators considered Shirley Joe Phillips' son, Glenn, but ruled him out. Shirley Joe Phillips is charged with the murder, but claims innocence. But this isn't the first time someone close to her has been dismembered. 5 months before Wilma's death, another body was found in pieces in the neighboring state of Oklahoma. It would turn out to be Shirley Joe's own mother.
Your mother was murdered and dismembered around the time that you were accused of murdering someone and dismembering them. Do you see how that looked to the police? How do you think it
No,
looked?
I really don't see how that looked to the police at all. I really don't.
I'm not often astounded, but Shirley Joe's refusal to acknowledge the coincidence here blows me away, especially when the body parts were finally identified around the time of Wilma's murder. I must point out, Shirley Joe has never been charged with her mother's murder.
When was the last time you saw your mom?
The last time I saw her, she had met this guy and she was going to go with him for the weekend. That's the last time I saw my mother.
Did you report her missing?
No.
How did you feel when you heard that she had been murdered?
Well, I can't believe that I remember. I'm not really sure how I felt.
Again, there's an emotional disconnect when Shirley Joe talks about someone she's been close to. But is that enough motive for murder? Police were suspicious, but without any forensic evidence and with one conviction already for the murder of Wilma Plaster, they did not pursue a second. In February 1992, Shirley Joe Phillips was originally sentenced to death by lethal injection.
And what happened that you got off of death row?
The prosecutor withheld evidence.
And what evidence was that?
It was a tape recording that someone had made stating the fact that they knew who had killed Wilma, That they thought it was someone else and named the person's name.
And who was that person?
No, I will not mention that name. And
Shirley Joe may not be willing, but it's on public record, so I can. It's her son, Glenn. Because this evidence was not submitted, Shirley Joe's death sentence is commuted to life without parole. Shirley Joe is tough. Of that, I can be sure. She never shed a tear for her mother, her friend, or even herself. Does that make her the killer a jury believed she was? Possibly. It could also be her protective instincts.
You were convicted, and 23 years later, you're sitting here talking to me. What'd you learn from it?
well, I've learned to accept what the jury's convicted me of and just go on to the best day that I can and make the best of every day I can.
I find it hard to challenge the jury's verdict on Shirley Joe Phillips. She's been obstructive and deceptive with me, even 23 years after her conviction. There is one question on my mind. Did she really act alone? Only Shirley knows the truth.